Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Mrs. Shivangi Sinha, Assistant Professor, New Law College, Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University, Pune, and Faculty Coordinator of Madhyasthta, the ADR Cell, and would like to welcome you all for today's session. Dear students and viewers, it is a great pleasure for me to introduce you all to our guest, Dr. Srikanth Sir, who is going to speak to us on the topic Development Opportunities for Arbitrators. Sir is one of the few supporting members from India of the top 5 maritime arbitration organizations of the world. Sir is also the recipient of President's Award for Ph.D. in Investment and Finance Law. Being an international arbitrator, Sir is also a well-known family advisor and chief legal and financial officer with 15 plus years of experience in arbitration, cross-border mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance, treasury, fund dealing, deal structuring, venture capital, business finance, and etc. Sir has authored several books and articles on his name. We are beyond honored to have you with us for today's session, sir. We'll start with the session now.
Good evening, sir. So let's begin with our Q&A session. So the first question is that, what career opportunities are out there for arbitrators in India and abroad?
India is posited to be the seat of arbitration. And if you see, this has been reflected quite exhaustively in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 by the 2015 amendment and the 2019 amendment, and as recently as the 2020 ordinance, which converted into 2021 amendment. Now, with this being out there, arbitration is a very, very wide concept, and it is not new. Arbitration and conciliation, especially arbitration, has been there for centuries. And mediation, which is conciliation, we use it interchangeably in India, has been there for ages and ages together. So insofar as arbitration and opportunities pertaining to arbitration is concerned, India being the seat of arbitration and the Indian law being unified with the global regime as such, you will see there are High Court annexed arbitrations, of which I am members of certain High Courts, which you would have seen that in my introduction as well. So that being said, there are private hubs as well. So there is an increasing, I would say, enthusiasm amongst the in-house counsels to include an arbitral clause, and the arbitral clause to reflect a particular seat, that is India. So insofar as arbitrators is concerned, we do not have the required number of arbitrators right now, primarily because of the fact that the arbitrators are not trained. They're not, I would say, they are not fervented with the law as such. So there has been a lot of developments that have happened. And if you see, the ICSID, which may be of interest to you, which is exit, which settles international disputes. India has been nominated. India is not a signatory to it, but India has been nominating parties, and Indian arbitrators have been hosting seminars after seminars in the pandemic. It is also noteworthy to note that the PCA, the Permanent Court of Arbitration, has hosted 2 events in India in the last year, which signifies the importance of arbitration in India. The point I'm trying to make over here is the career opportunities are immense. The traditional litigation practices or practices which a particular legal professional could pursue used to be the CRPC or the CPC or a particular domain or corporate litigation, that for that particular matter. Now it is turning out to be arbitration, and especially arbitration counsel as such.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving an insight of the career in arbitration. The next question is, how might a newly trained arbitrator break into the field and find their first appointment?
The first appointment question is always a question which comes up in the ICC, the International Chambers of Commerce, which has got the International Arbitral Court. As well as the first appointment comes up in issues pertaining to whether you will have a single arbitrator or you'll have 3-member tribunal as such. I believe the breaking into the arbitrator spectrum are twofold. One is the question that you need to ask yourself as a student is whether you want to become an arbitrator. The second question is whether you want to become an arbitral counsel. These are two different, these are the bar and the benches of the arbitral program as such. So as arbitrators, you would require a party consent, and that is enshrined in the arbitration clause as such. So I will not go into the history of arbitration as such, but to find the first appointment, what you need to display is thorough understanding of arbitration, participation in moots like the Wismoot. There are many moots which are conducted by your esteemed university as well, and frequent yourself with eminent arbitrators who are in this particular field and who have delivered awards. I have delivered 20 plus awards till date, and that is nothing in comparison to the awards which are delivered by an arbitrator who is a retired judge as such. Now, a retired judge will have a little more, I would say, experience slash dominance in this particular field, but that is fading away, in my opinion, at least. Internationally, you will see a gender diversity, you will see an age diversity, you'll also see educational diversity, which is brought in by various tribunals. For example, if you look at the arbitral tribunal, which is typically composed of, let's say, a popular institution like the SIAC or an institution like the LCIA, you will see that there is a gender diversity which is brought in, which is equal representation from all genders per se, and there is also an age diversity. So you will not find arbitrators who are who are, for the lack of a better word, who have enough gray hairs like me, but have lesser gray hairs, possibly. So what you will find is there is a balance which is being struck as an arbitrator in the arbitral composition as well. One more thing that I would emphasize to break into the arbitral world would be to act as a secretary to the arbitral tribunal, which is a fantastic job as such, because while the title may sound a little novitial, it is imperative to know that the arbitral tribunal does not have enough resources to actually handle the entire sets of pleadings and facts which are placed before them, which is referred to as the terms of reference. So you may consider, a freshly minted arbitrator may consider sitting as a arbitral secretary and driving the entire arbitration program, which is more of a PMO or a project management office kind of role that could be played. And of course, there are arbitration which are minor arbitrations. For example, maritime arbitration, for which claims rise up to about $50,000 to about $100,000. And then you have the commercial courts, which are in India, which refer arbitration for certain matters. So these are areas that you could break into. So possibly your first arbitration would be a value which you may not have imagined, but that will give you the experience that you would require.
Thank you, sir, for such an elaborated answer. Moving ahead with the next question. Many arbitrators are also lawyers. Do you need a background in law to be successful as an arbitrator?
Background in law always helps, because you will have in India. So let me distinguish between a common law country like India and a civil law country. I sit as an arbitrator in civil law jurisdictions as well as common law jurisdictions and hybrid jurisdictions as well. Insofar as my experience with the Indian arbitration is concerned, the procedural issues insofar as arbitration and evidentiary proceedings and insofar as pleadings is concerned, we have, while the Arbitration Act very clearly says that the CPC, which is a Code of Civil Procedure, will not apply, and the Indian Evidence Act will not apply, the fundamentals of the right to fair hearing and so on and so forth should be applied. So you will have to resort back to the CPC as such. So the point I'm trying to make over here is it helps to know law to be an arbitrator. But let's look at the Indian Arbitration Act categorically. Schedule 8 was struck off in 2020 by an ordinance, and it was ratified in 2021 by an act. So, which means that the qualification of an arbitrator, which required a minimum threshold of 10 years of experience, as long as Indian arbitrator with a law degree is concerned, that has been struck off. So, which means that any person can sit as an arbitrator, which is true because party autonomy is maintained. So, coming back to the question that you asked me, do you need to possess a degree in law? It's preferred, but it's not mandatory. For example, when it comes to IPI arbitration, intellectual property arbitration, it may be difficult to find arbitrators who have understanding of law. And insofar as there are certain arbitration which you wouldn't have even heard of, which is domain name arbitration. A Zomato.com versus Zomatos.com would have a dispute, which can be solved only by understanding what backend is being used, what code is being used, and so on and so forth. So a lawyer or an advocate may not be comprehending how a source code is basically formed. The point I'm trying to make over here is domain name arbitration is increasing, which is found in India. In India, we have something called NIXI, which is a domain name arbitration, which has a domain arbitration as such. And then you have construction arbitration. Insofar as construction arbitration is concerned, you as a lawyer would not be in a good position to actually assess what the civil engineering part of the particular construction is. So you will have to again resort back to possibly a civil engineering degree and as such. So the point I'm trying to make over here is, while it is preferred, the law has rightfully done its part last year, thank goodness, for the benefit of students over here. That is done away with the requirement of law degree. What may be of interest to you would be if you are choosing a particular arbitration regime. For example, if you would like to be a maritime arbitrator, there are exactly 11 maritime arbitrators in India. So you have a wide space to actually explore. So what would possibly interest you is to pursue some kind of degree which will give clients the comfort that you can settle their disputes effectively insofar as maritime arbitration or such specified field is concerned.
Thank you so much, sir, for in-depth view. Now, moving forward with the next question. What unique qualities do arbitrators need to be successful?
Patience is the first thing that would come to me, because you need to be very, very patient. It's not a court. It's a tribunal. It's a party autonomy, right? So one thing which may be of interest to you, let me put it over here. Not many people have even seen an arbitration. So the YouTube or any other online video platform would be of use to you, because the Singapore International Arbitration Center has actually released a video of every stage of proceeding, and it also releases a video excuse me. It also releases a video, breaks the video into parts in terms of how a terms of reference is basically construed, how the issues are determined, what are the arguments advanced from one party to another party, and it also talks about the deliberations which are made by the arbitrator. So that is a great tool which is available for you to actually look at how an arbitral process is actually going ahead. So to answer to your question, I would say the traits that you need to possess is in-depth knowledge. You need to be well versed with the modern arbitration, with the modern techniques of arbitration. Some of the modern techniques, as I speak, which may grow old if this particular video is seen, say, 5 years from now, it would be that at the moment we are talking about third-party funding in arbitration, which is unheard of, which is litigation financing, which is unheard of. At the moment, we are talking about e-discovery. We're talking about a situation where you have issues which are coming up between India, that's hypothetically, India and any other country, And you will have to gather evidence from electronic records, and you need to make e-discovery as a tribunal. So that is a fantastic area to actually understand. And insofar as the traits are concerned, an arbitrator is equivalent to a judge. So an arbitrator should be able to find out quickly, and arbitrators paid by the hour, by the session, and so on and so forth. So the arbitrators need to quickly arrive at a point. So they cannot be going on and on. It cannot be a long, lengthy proceeding as such. So patience is on one side, and paradoxically, quickness is on the other side. So these two traits have to be possessed. Of course, on the back of that, you cannot have patience and quickness unless you have the knowledge behind it.
Definitely, these information will be very useful for the budding lawyers and arbitrators. Moving forward with the next question now. Is there strong demand for arbitrators? And how do you see the field evolving in the future?
The LMAA, which is the London Maritime Arbitration Association, handles 1,500 cases per year. And imagine that's maritime alone. And imagine that's London alone. And imagine a typical maritime arbitration is for a claim of a minimum value of $1 million. We're talking about 8 crores over here. So what point I'm trying to make over here is there a demand for arbitrators? Absolutely, yes. The caveat that I would put is there a demand for good arbitrators? Yes. Is there a demand for arbitrators who are just trained? No. So the point is, you need to have the questions that you asked me previously are going to serve as a backbone for me to answer this particular question. Once you demonstrate the knowledge of arbitration, once you demonstrate the knowledge of how to conduct a particular proceeding and how efficiently you conduct a particular proceeding, it should be a situation where parties go to a particular arbitrator and say that, look, I and you, A and B, we have a dispute. Let's appoint C. He or she is a fantastic arbitrator, and they will dispose of the matter quickly, and it will be an enforceable award. So I think from a demand perspective, an arbitrator who disposes things quickly, who's able to have a quick turnaround time, and most importantly is able to display knowledge would be a great arbitrator. That of course comes in the traits of an arbitrator, but demand would be for these arbitrators.
Thank you, sir. This would definitely help our viewers to get a clear picture of arbitration and the field of arbitration. Let's move on to the next question. How can an individual prepare himself for a career in arbitration when he or she is still in law school?
I think the COVID situation has actually helped arbitration a lot. I'll tell you specifically why. I had mentioned earlier the Singapore International Arbitration Center released a lot of videos. Earlier, when I was doing arbitration, we did not have access to these videos. Now, if you go to the any of these online platforms, you can even see arbitral proceedings that have happened in the ICSID, which is a fantastic thing. Imagine a situation that you are able to view an international dispute and you are able to see a UN Commission dispute, a United Nations Commission dispute, and you're able to see how international pleadings happen. So coming back to the point that I'm trying to make, if you look at this particular situation to become a very good arbitrator, you have to look at all these online materials that are available. And unfortunately, the books behind me are not a reflection of what you need to pursue as a goal in terms of reading. There's a lot of material which is available online. You can read blogs, you can read articles, you can read You can read, you can publish your own articles. For example, Gary Bond, the most cited arbitrator at this particular moment, has very critically examined the Hague Conference on Private International Law. That is something that would be of interest for current arbitrators who are, or current students who are in law school to actually pursue. So be abreast with the modern, not modern, let me rephrase that, be abreast with what is happening in the arbitral world. Be part of the PCA, be part of the SIAC, be part of any other institutions, be part of the arbitral community. The arbitral community is a very small community. So be part of the community. I think you're making a fantastic progress in that regard by having this conversation with me, because it's a small community. And by having this conversation, you are basically exposing yourself to our community as such. And that is a great way to start off your career. Apart from that, you also have the fifth schedule to the Indian Arbitration Act, which categorically states that you cannot have repeat appointments, and there are certain grounds or certain times that you can be repeat appointed by a particular party, which necessarily means that we arbitrators who have been traditional arbitrators, we are conflicted out of situation, which gives opportunities for more young arbitrators like you to actually join the field. So that augurs with my to your previous question as well, which is, will there be a demand and are we producing good arbitrators? This works perfectly well for you.
Let's just move on to the last question. Is India suited for arbitration, or shall parties look outside India for arbitrators?
India is suited for arbitration is a controversial point, and I'll not go into the question of seat and venue. But are Indian arbitrators of global quality? The current generation which is going to be produced, which is you, is definitely going to be, because you have access to so much online resources. So I will answer that question in a different manner. Is India suited for arbitration? Yes, India is absolutely suited for arbitration because we have made the legislative amendments to bring in the global quality. Are Indian arbitrators global in nature? Are they international quality? At the moment, no. But I see your generation actually coming up with a participation in. Yesterday, we had the Singapore summit. Of last year in 2020, we had the PCA summit happening in India, and we saw a large number of participation from India. And I have been a judge at least I would say 4 moots in the past 4 months, and I've seen the pleadings that have been written by including your university, other universities, and I see that the students have written pleadings that I wouldn't have even imagined as a senior counsel to have written. So the point I'm trying to make over here is India has the necessary skills, or Indian origin arbitrators have the necessary skills to be appointed globally. Should we look outside for arbitrators? Yes, we can. There are arbitrators outside India as well to bring in the diversity. But should we rely on them alone? I would absolutely disagree, because we have the potential to create global arbitrators. As a matter of fact, being in the National Productivity Council, this is one of the things that was discussed in the council as such. Should we equip ourselves? Should we make the current arbitrators of global quality? And it was a vehement yes. And if you see the institutions that have cropped up in India, including the High Court and next arbitrations, and the world-class facility that is being produced in the New Delhi, and if you have followed the news, the Chief Justice of India wants to create a world-class facility in Hyderabad as well. So India is suited for arbitration. I think what we are going to face is a shortage of arbitrators and shortage of good arbitrators, because everybody is going to be good. I'm a optimistic man. I hope that would be the future that I'll see.
On behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University, New Law College, Pune, and Madhyasthta, the ADR Cell, It is an honor and privilege to be proposing the vote of thanks for this crisping session for today's. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Srikanth sir for providing his valuable insights on the development opportunity for arbitrator to students in the emerging field of arbitration. I'm sure students have a lot of partake from this session. My special thanks to the principal in charge and dean of New Law College Pune, Dr. Ujjwala Bindale ma'am, for her constant support and guidance. I would also like to thank the management team of our college for their technical support. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all our viewers for being such a lovely audience. We hope to see you soon. With this, we come to the end of today's incredible session. Thank you once again.